The Federation's curiosity. The emergence of the Empire. The galaxy had always been a place of endless mystery and discovery, filled with civilizations as old as time itself. The Federation, an empire of advanced species, had long watched the cosmos with a curious eye. Their ships roamed the stars, and their influence spread like a web, connecting countless worlds. No planet was too far, no species too insignificant. The Federation prided itself on being the strongest force in the galaxy, maintaining peace through control, technology, and diplomacy. But Earth was different. To the Federation, Earth was a strange, wild planet, tucked away on the edge of the galaxy, ignored for centuries. It was a young world, filled with chaos, war, and strife. Yet, despite the tumult, humans were surviving, thriving, even. The Federation had heard of Earth's battles, wars that nearly destroyed the planet, rebellions against powerful invaders, and the emergence of an unexpected power that refused to be crushed. Still, they couldn't figure out why Earth was so different from the countless other planets they had encountered. For years, the Federation watched Earth from afar, sending unmanned probes to study its people and technology. But every attempt to understand Earth's true nature seemed to reveal more questions than answers. Earth had no massive defense grids, no impenetrable walls of energy or shields. Most planets had these systems in place as a matter of survival, but not Earth. Their technologies seemed primitive compared to the vast empires of the Federation. Yet there was something about Earth that sparked curiosity, a hidden strength that the Federation couldn't grasp. One day, a Federation scientist, Dr. Elara Thorne, stumbled upon an old human broadcast. It was an ancient message, broadcast from a time before the Federation even knew Earth existed. The message was simple yet powerful. We consider offense the only defense. The words echoed in her mind for days. The Federation believed in defense, armies, ships, and weapons that could defend against any threat. But the humans, they thought differently. The thought of an entire planet choosing offense over defense made no sense. Dr. Thorne's curiosity grew, and she proposed a mission, a direct inquiry to Earth. The Federation Council, always cautious and deliberate, debated the plan. They couldn't afford to take risks with a planet that seemed so unpredictable. Yet Dr. Thorne's argument was persuasive. If Earth truly did not rely on defense grids, then there had to be something else, something the Federation was missing. The Council agreed. It was time to understand Earth, not as a threat, but as a mystery that needed to be solved. The decision was made. The Federation would send a fleet to Earth to confront its leaders and demand answers. They needed to understand how a primitive planet like Earth could exist without the protection systems that every other civilization relied on. The Federation wasn't just curious anymore. They were worried. What if Earth had developed a new kind of technology? What if humans had discovered something that could change the balance of power in the galaxy? The Federation could not allow this unknown force to exist unchecked. As the fleet prepared to depart, Dr. Thorne and her team gathered all the information they could find about Earth. They studied every human war, every major historical event. They looked at the human military and its strange, chaotic tactics. There was no real pattern to the way they fought, yet they always seemed to come out on top. Was it their bravery, their stubbornness, or something more? The fleet departed from Federation space and entered Earth's sector, their ships gleaming with the power of 1,000 civilizations. The journey would take several weeks, and during this time, the Federation leaders began to feel a growing unease. No one knew what they would find when they arrived at Earth, but they all shared a common belief. Humans must have something they're not sharing, something powerful. Dr. Thorne stood in the observation deck of the lead ship, staring out into the vast emptiness of space. Her mind raced with thoughts. What could Earth possibly have that the Federation had missed? She knew that whatever it was something that couldn't be ignored. The answer to Earth's strange survival, to the strength they had shown in the face of so much adversity, was out there, waiting to be discovered. and the Federation would find it. As the fleet approached Earth, their communication systems buzzed with the hum of distant signals. They were getting closer. Soon, they would reach the planet. Soon, they would demand an answer. But as they neared Earth's orbit, a strange feeling settled over Dr. Thorne. It wasn't fear, but something else. Something unfamiliar. For the first time in years, she felt uncertain. Could the Federation truly understand a civilization so unlike their own? Could they truly comprehend what made Earth's people so resilient? She didn't know. But one thing was clear. Earth was not going to be an easy puzzle to solve. The fleet's ships entered Earth's atmosphere, and Dr. Thorne could see the planet below, lush, green, and vibrant, a place full of life and stories. And there, on the surface, was the answer she had been seeking. Earth had no defense grid. It had no shield to protect it from the galaxy's dangers. But maybe, just maybe, it didn't need one. The Federation had underestimated Earth, and now, they were about to find out just how wrong they were. Earth's hidden strengths. As the Federation fleet descended upon Earth, their minds were filled with questions. The Federation had seen countless civilizations, each one relying on their powerful defense grids and impenetrable walls of force fields. Yet Earth had no such defenses, no monumental space stations guarding the skies, no impenetrable shields protecting the cities. The Federation couldn't fathom how Earth survived in the galaxy's hostile environment. What made Earth so different? What was this secret strength that had allowed humanity to thrive? Earth's leaders, meanwhile, had been expecting the Federation's arrival. They knew the Federation's curiosity would lead them here eventually. What the Federation didn't know was that Earth's true power wasn't in defense at all. It was in offense. Earth had mastered the art of not just surviving but conquering. The Federation had always believed that defense was the key to survival in a universe filled with hostile alien races, but Earth thought differently. Humanity had always lived on the edge, fighting wars, facing invasions, and battling natural disasters. Over time, they had learned that when faced with overwhelming odds, their only chance was to strike first, hit hard, and never back down. This philosophy had shaped Earth's survival strategies. Earth had learned from every conflict, using it to grow stronger and smarter. For years, Earth's military and scientific minds have been working on a secret project, a weapon so advanced it could change the fate of the entire galaxy. A weapon not meant for defense, but for total offense. The Federation would soon learn that Earth had something far beyond anything they had ever encountered. The human military had spent years refining their technology, developing weapons that could obliterate anything in their path. They had created a new kind of energy, one so powerful that it could decimate entire fleets with a single strike. It wasn't just about firepower. It was about the strategic use of power, the ability to deliver a blow so precise, so devastating, that no opponent could recover. Earth's leaders knew the Federation would never expect it. The Federation's arrival was a test, one that Earth's forces had prepared for, knowing that if they revealed their weapon too early, they could provoke a war they weren't ready for. But if the Federation continued to underestimate them, Earth would have no choice but to show the full extent of their offensive power. As the Federation fleet entered Earth's atmosphere, the planet's defense systems appeared dormant. The Federation saw nothing but the vast oceans and sprawling continents below. They assumed the planet's defenses were outdated, ineffective, or non-existent. Little did they know, Earth had a plan in place for this very moment. In a hidden underground facility, deep beneath Earth's surface, a group of scientists and military leaders worked in secret, monitoring the Federation's approach. Their technology had been developed not to repel invaders, but to strike first, catching any attacker off guard. The technology was based on energy manipulation, harnessing the very forces of nature to create devastating weapons. Earth had developed powerful energy weapons, energy bombs, and specialized ships capable of delivering precise and lethal blows. Earth's military strategy was built on a simple yet powerful idea: Offense is the only true defense. It was a mindset that had shaped every human victory, every battle, every war. Earth's forces didn't wait for danger to arrive. They met it head-on with all the power they could muster. And now, the Federation was about to experience that power firsthand. The Federation's leaders now found themselves at a crossroads. The question was no longer how to defeat Earth's defenses. It was how to coexist with a planet that had taken control of its destiny in such an aggressive, confident way. The Federation had always believed in peace through power, but now it seemed as if Earth's idea of peace was to ensure that no one could threaten them in the first place. "We can't afford to underestimate them anymore," Dr. Thorne continued, her voice more resolute now. "Earth is no longer a weak, vulnerable planet. They've turned the tables on us, and we need to decide what to do about it." The room fell silent again, each council member lost in their thoughts. The Federation had come to Earth to learn why they didn't have a defense grid, but now they understood something far more dangerous. Earth didn't need a defense grid because they didn't plan to wait for danger to come to them. Earth was prepared to eliminate threats before they could ever materialize. Ambassador Goran's voice broke the silence. "We can't just go back to the way things were. Earth's power, their resolve, it's too much. We need to rethink our entire approach to the galaxy. But we also can't let them believe they can challenge us openly." Dr. Thorne nodded. "We've underestimated humanity for far too long. But this is different now. Earth won't be intimidated by our ships or our fleets. We'll have to find another way to approach this, a way to make them understand that we are not their enemies." It was clear to everyone in the room that the Federation's power had been shaken. They had learned the hard way that Earth's strength was not in its defensive capabilities, but in its ability to take charge of its own fate and strike decisively. For the first time in their history, the Federation was facing a force that wouldn't bend to their will, and that made all the difference. The final decision. The Federation Council was in turmoil. After witnessing Earth's overwhelming offensive capabilities, they now understood the full extent of the threat, or perhaps the potential ally, that Earth represented. The once unshakable belief in the Federation's own superiority had been shattered, and with it came a sense of fear, uncertainty, and a deep need for recalibration. The Council's members sat in a circle, discussing their next steps, their voices filled with concern and unease. Ambassador Goran stood up, his tall figure imposing as he spoke. "We have underestimated Earth. For years, we thought they were a primitive species, incapable of standing up to us. But today, they've shown us just how dangerous they can be. One ship, one strike. It's clear we can't fight them head-on. We'd be wiped out before we could even get our defenses in place." The room was filled with murmurs of agreement. Earth had proven that they didn't need the traditional defenses that every other civilization relied on. They had done something the Federation had never even considered. They had taken control of their own destiny, creating a powerful offense that left no room for retaliation. Dr. Thorne, still recovering from the shock of the Aegis demonstration, stood and addressed the Council. "We have to think beyond mere retaliation. We can't afford to fight this war with Earth, nor can we allow them to remain a threat. But if we treat them as enemies, we risk provoking a conflict that could destroy both our civilizations. We need to find a way to coexist with them." A heavy silence filled the room as Dr. Thorne's words sank in. Earth was not just another planet to conquer or control. Their philosophy of offense first, their advanced technology, and their sheer will to protect their own made them unlike anything the Federation had encountered. The Federation's Council knew they had to adapt, or else face the consequences of their ignorance. Coexistence. Councillor Zithos scoffed. "How can we coexist with a species that can strike with such power at any moment? We've seen their resolve. How do we trust them?" Dr. Thorne's response was quiet but firm. "We must acknowledge their strength. Earth has proven that their survival is not by chance. They've made it clear that their only goal is to ensure their protection, and if we threaten that, we will face the full force of their power. It is not in our interest to challenge them further. We need to offer something in exchange for peace. General Marcus Harlan's words echoed in Dr. Thorne's mind. Earth wasn't interested in appeasement or submission. They had a simple message. Earth would not be threatened. To the Federation, this meant there were only two options: fight and risk annihilation, or adapt and find a way to work with them. Meanwhile, Dr. Thorne's doubts were growing. She had read all the reports, analyzed the data, and still couldn't understand Earth's strategy. Why were they so confident? There was no sign of any advanced defense systems, no visible military presence. Yet the more she thought about it, the more unsettled she became. What if Earth wasn't as vulnerable as the Federation believed? Dr. Thorne couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something crucial. She had always prided herself on being a rational scientist, but now, facing Earth, she felt the strange sensation of uncertainty creeping into her mind. Something was wrong. The calmness of the situation felt off. Why weren't the humans scared? Why weren't they begging for protection? As Dr. Thorne continued to ponder, the Federation's envoy began its descent to Earth. The Federation's ships, sleek and powerful, broke through the planet's atmosphere, descending like giant birds of prey. They landed in Earth's capital city, a sprawling metropolis filled with ancient architecture and towering skyscrapers. The Federation representatives disembarked, their sleek uniforms and advanced technology on full display. The humans had planned their meeting carefully. The Federation's representatives would be escorted to a grand hall, where they would sit across from Earth's leaders, including General Harlan and Dr. Costa. What the Federation didn't know was that they had already walked into Earth's trap. It wasn't an immediate threat, but a message, a demonstration of Earth's power, and a show of force that would leave no room for doubt. As the Federation's representatives entered the meeting room, Earth's leaders exchanged glances. General Harlan stood up first, offering a stiff handshake to Dr. Thorne. His eyes were filled with calm confidence, but inside, he was thinking only one thing. Let's show them what Earth can really do. Welcome to Earth, General Harlan said with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. We're glad you've come. I'm sure you have many questions, but we've been preparing something for you. Something we hope will answer all of them. Dr. Thorne raised an eyebrow. I'm eager to see what you have to offer, General. General Harlan simply nodded. We'll begin soon. But before we do, let me make one thing clear. Earth does not need a defense grid. What we have works perfectly fine for us. Dr. Thorne felt a shiver run down her spine. The words hung in the air between them, and for the first time, she realized just how serious Earth was. They weren't afraid of the Federation. In fact, they were ready for whatever came next. The Federation had come to Earth expecting answers, but it was the humans who would soon have all the questions. The first encounter. The Federation representatives, led by Dr. Elara Thorne, entered the Grand Hall in Earth's capital. The hall was a remarkable sight, old yet modern, filled with towering stone columns and advanced technology. A place where history met innovation. But the Federation wasn't here to admire the architecture. They were here to find answers. General Marcus Harlan stood at the head of the room, his face calm but his eyes sharp. He had made sure the meeting was set in a neutral open space, no hidden weapons, no signs of hostility. Earth had made its stance clear from the start. They didn't need to show off their power right away. But General Harlan knew the time would come soon enough. This meeting would answer the Federation's most pressing question. Why did Earth refuse to follow the path of other civilizations, building massive defensive grids? Dr. Thorne couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. She had studied Earth for years, reading reports about their wars, their struggles, their technological advances. But now that she was standing on the planet's soil, she felt the weight of something unfamiliar in the air, a confidence she couldn't quite place. Earth wasn't trembling in fear or trembling at the might of the Federation. Instead, they stood resolute, seemingly without hesitation. General Harlan. Dr. Thorne greeted, her voice measured. I trust you have prepared something that will shed light on your planet's strange choice of not having a defense grid. General Harlan smiled slightly, but there was an edge to it. Indeed, we have. But I think it's better if we show you rather than tell you. He motioned to Dr. Costa, who was standing near the controls. She nodded and activated the holoscreen at the far end of the room, displaying an image of Earth's defenses, a simple map, nothing remarkable to the untrained eye. Dr. Thorne squinted at the screen. There was no sign of any advanced defensive technology. The Federation's own systems were visible on the screen as well, marked by layers of shields and energy barriers. Earth, on the other hand, seemed almost defenseless. "Is this all you have?" Dr. Thorne asked skeptically. "Where are your planetary defense grids, your shields, your weapons?" General Harlan took a step forward, his voice calm but resolute. "We don't need them." At his signal, Dr. Costa activated the next phase of Earth's plan. A quiet hum filled the room, and the screen flickered. Suddenly, the map shifted, revealing the location of a massive military complex buried deep beneath the surface of the planet, a hidden fortress. The Federation's experts, who had been meticulously scanning Earth's defenses for months, had never detected this facility. Not once. Dr. Thorne's eyes widened. "What is that?" she asked, her tone faltering for the first time. "It's not a defensive structure," General Harlan explained, his voice low and steady. "It's our offensive base, designed for one purpose: striking first, before the enemy has a chance to retaliate." The air in the room seemed to grow heavier. Dr. Thorne had expected an explanation, maybe some military tactics, but this was something else entirely. She thought she knew everything about Earth's so-called defenses, but now it seemed as if they had been blind to the planet's true potential. General Harlan turned to Dr. Costa, who gave him a small nod. The screen flickered once more, this time showing an advanced ship. Unlike any ship the Federation had seen before, it had a sleek design, its surface gleaming with strange energy, unlike anything the Federation's engineers had ever encountered. "That is our latest creation," General Harlan continued, his gaze steady. "A weapon capable of disabling a fleet with one single strike. No shields, no defense grids. We don't need them. We eliminate the threat before it gets close enough to do any damage." Dr. Thorne's heart skipped a beat. She had known Earth had made great technological strides. But this was beyond her comprehension. One single ship, capable of taking down an entire fleet. How had Earth achieved this? "But that's impossible," Dr. Thorne said, her voice trembling slightly. "No weapon can be that powerful. It defies everything we know about physics, energy, and power systems. The cost of such a weapon is irrelevant." General Harlan interrupted calmly. "We've mastered the energy manipulation needed to power it. And we've learned, over centuries of struggle, that the only true defense is an offense so strong that no one dares to attack." The room fell silent. The Federation representatives exchanged uneasy glances. They had underestimated Earth. And now, they were learning just how far their assumptions had taken them off course. General Harlan's voice broke the silence. "I've told you before, Dr. Thorne, Earth doesn't need defense grids. We don't wait for an attack. We go on the offensive. We hit first. And we hit hard." Dr. Thorne's thoughts raced. This was no longer just a simple meeting. It was a revelation. The Federation had always believed in defending against threats, but Earth had chosen to eliminate the threat before it could even get close. It was an approach no one in the galaxy had ever dared consider. "Why?" Dr. Thorne whispered, her scientific curiosity overwhelmed by the enormity of what she was hearing. "Why take such a risk? Why not rely on defense systems like everyone else?" General Harlan didn't hesitate. "Because, Dr. Thorne, offense is the only defense that truly matters. Waiting for danger to come to you is weakness. Waiting to be attacked means you're already too late. We learned that the hard way." Dr. Thorne stood speechless for a moment. Everything she had known about strategy, about military power, was being turned upside down. Earth wasn't just strong. They had redefined the very concept of warfare. And now, the Federation was caught in the middle of it, unsure how to respond. General Harlan stepped closer, his voice steady and unwavering. "We've given you a glimpse of Earth's power, but you still have a choice, Dr. Thorne. You can accept our way of thinking, or you can continue underestimating humanity. But know this, if Earth is threatened, it will not hesitate to strike. And when we strike, we don't miss. The Earth strike." The tension in the room was palpable, a heavy silence hanging in the air as Dr. Thorne processed the information she had just received. She was still reeling from the shock of what Earth had shown her. The sheer power of a single ship capable of taking down an entire fleet. The Federation had never seen anything like it, and for the first time, Dr. Thorne felt a deep sense of unease. This wasn't just a defensive posture. This was an offensive force unlike any other. But now it was time for Earth to demonstrate exactly how this weapon worked. General Harlan and Dr. Costa exchanged a brief, knowing glance. It was time for the Federation to truly understand the depth of humanity's power. "We're ready," General Harlan said calmly, his eyes fixed on Dr. Thorne. "Prepare for the demonstration." Dr. Thorne's pulse quickened as she turned to the viewing screen, her hand shaking slightly as she clutched the armrest of her seat. She had heard about Earth's offensive technology, but seeing it was an entirely different matter. She had thought their weapons were theoretical, mere ideas that might be far from reality. But now, it seemed as though Earth had surpassed even the Federation's best efforts. The large screen in the room shifted, showing the vast expanse of space as it zoomed in on a distant section of the Federation fleet that had been stationed nearby, out of Earth's immediate range. The Federation's ships were formidable, bristling with shields, weapons, and defense systems, but none of that mattered. Earth had one thing the Federation didn't: the power to hit before they even had a chance to retaliate. General Harlan stood with his arms crossed, his voice steady but carrying a tone of certainty. "Watch closely, Dr. Thorne. What you see today will change everything you know about power." Dr. Thorne tried to steady her breathing as the screen shifted again, now showing a large, sleek vessel emerging from the depths of the Earth's atmosphere. It was unlike any ship the Federation had ever encountered, elegant, dark, and streamlined, with glowing patterns of energy rippling across its surface. It looked like something from a distant future, a future Earth had already brought to life. "This is the Aegis," General Harlan continued, his voice laced with pride. "The culmination of decades of research. We've made it possible to harness energy in ways the Federation has yet to dream of." The Federation fleet, though unaware of the Aegis movements, began to receive strange signals from Earth. A moment later, the Aegis activated its primary weapon system, unleashing a beam of energy that cut across the dark expanse of space with terrifying precision. The Federation ships, far off in the distance, never even had time to react. The beam hit one of their largest warships dead center, cutting through its shields as if they weren't even there. The ship shuddered, its systems failing as the immense energy burned through its hull. Within seconds, the massive vessel exploded in a brilliant flash of light, its fragments scattering across space like confetti. The entire Federation delegation sat in stunned silence. Dr. Thorne's mouth went dry, and she blinked rapidly, unable to fully comprehend what had just occurred. The Aegis had destroyed an entire warship in a single strike, effortlessly bypassing the Federation's shields and weaponry. It was a demonstration of power so overwhelming that even the Federation's most advanced warships would stand no chance against it. "The Aegis," General Harlan said softly, his eyes never leaving the screen, "is just the beginning. It's a message. Earth will not be threatened. We do not rely on defense grids because we've learned that offense is the only true defense. We strike before the enemy can even move." Dr. Thorne could feel the weight of his words. The Federation had always believed that defensive power, shields, weapons, and barriers, was what protected civilizations, but Earth had turned that idea on its head. The power to destroy before being attacked, to strike first, was now in humanity's hands. It was a weapon the Federation had never considered and couldn't have prepared for. In the room, a member of the Federation Council, a tall, gray-haired man named Ambassador Gorin, leaned forward, his voice unsteady. This is impossible. No technology could bypass our shields that easily. How did Earth manage to? General Harlan raised his hand, silencing the room. We have developed methods of energy manipulation you can't even begin to understand, Ambassador. This ship uses a form of energy that disrupts the very structure of shields. Once the beam hits, the shields become irrelevant. It's no longer about defense. It's about being so fast, so lethal, that no one has a chance to retaliate. Dr. Thorne stood there, her mind racing. The Federation's reliance on defense had always been their safety net. But now, Earth had shown them that the true power lay in taking the fight to the enemy, in striking before they could be harmed. The Federation had spent so long perfecting their defensive systems that they hadn't even considered the possibility of a civilization that would take offense to an entirely new level. We've been too focused on defense, Dr. Thorne said quietly, more to herself than anyone else. We've neglected the possibility that a single powerful strike could render our entire system obsolete. Yes, General Harlan replied. It's a new way of thinking. Earth's way of thinking. We don't need to hide behind shields. We take control of the situation from the start. We strike when necessary. And when we strike with everything we have. Dr. Thorne felt a cold shiver run down her spine. The Federation had always been the galaxy's strongest empire, its greatest defender. But now it was clear that Earth had something more, a mindset, a strategy that no one else had. It wasn't just about the technology. It was about the willingness to use that power, to strike with precision and without hesitation. The Federation fleet, stationed on the edge of Earth's orbit, had just received their first lesson in humanity's true strength. It was a lesson they would never forget. Federation's reaction. The explosion of the Federation warship echoed in Dr. Thorne's mind long after the brilliant flash of light had faded from the screen. She could feel the weight of what had just happened, the depth of the consequences. Earth had not only proven that their technology was far beyond anything the Federation had anticipated, but they had also delivered a crushing blow to the Federation's most sacred belief, defense. For the first time in a long time, Dr. Thorne questioned the very foundation of the Federation's strategies. The Federation's council room was silent. The representatives who had once been so sure of the Federation's dominance were now staring at the screen, still processing what they had just witnessed. The room was filled with unease, a palpable tension that none of them had ever felt before. Ambassador Gorin, the older Federation Council member, was the first to speak. His voice was tight, barely masking the fear that had crept into his words. We were wrong. This weapon, this Aegis, it's beyond anything we've encountered. Dr. Thorne remained silent for a moment, her thoughts racing. The Federation had always prided itself on its military might, on its impenetrable defense grids and unbreakable shields. But Earth had shattered that illusion in a single, decisive strike. She couldn't help but feel a deep, unsettling realization settle in her chest. The Federation had been blind to the true strength of Earth, and now, it seemed that Earth was prepared to do whatever it took to protect itself. We've never encountered anything like this, another council member, Councilor Zethos, muttered, still staring at the destroyed Federation ship on the screen. How do we respond? What kind of countermeasure can we develop to match this level of power? Dr. Thorne's mind raced. Her scientific training had always been rooted in logic, in understanding the fundamentals of energy and physics. But what she had just witnessed defied everything she knew. Earth's offensive capabilities were not based on sheer firepower alone. It was a strategy, a philosophy that had been built into their very culture. We cannot simply build more advanced defense grids to counteract this, Dr. Thorne said, finally breaking the silence. Her voice was sharp, but it carried a note of deep concern. If we rely on shields and barriers, we are missing the point. Earth has shown us that offense is the only real defense. It's a mindset, a way of thinking that we have never considered. The Federation Council exchanged uneasy glances. They had never approached warfare this way. Their entire empire had been built around the idea of defense, protecting their people, their planets, and their assets from external threats. The thought of a civilization that would willingly reject defense and embrace offense was alien, and now that they had seen the consequences, they couldn't ignore it any longer. What if this is just the beginning? Counselor Zethos asked, his voice barely a whisper. What if Earth's offensive technologies are even more advanced than we've seen? Dr. Thorne nodded, her expression grave. We've only seen a glimpse. The Aegis is one ship, but if Earth has developed this level of technology, they could have more. And they could have weapons that we can't even imagine. A shiver ran through the room as the full weight of Dr. Thorne's words sank in. The Federation had underestimated Earth for so long, thinking it was a weak, primitive world. Now, they were realizing the truth. Earth had been silently building a military force so powerful that no other civilization in the galaxy could match it. And that power wasn't just in the weapons. It was in the mindset, the unshakable belief that Earth's best defense was always to strike first. As the Federation fleet drew closer to Earth's orbit, the tension in the command center on Earth grew. The Federation's ships, massive and gleaming with advanced technology, hovered above the planet. The Federation had never encountered a civilization like this before, one that didn't cower behind shields or sit behind walls of defense. They had no idea that Earth's forces had been quietly preparing for this day, ready to unleash their power when the time was right. Dr. Elara Thorne, aboard the lead Federation ship, watched the planet below with a mixture of curiosity and unease. The Federation's intelligence had shown no signs of defense. No energy fields, no shields, no military presence in the atmosphere. It all seemed too peaceful, too quiet. She couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into a trap. She had heard of Earth's military capabilities, but nothing could have prepared her for what was about to happen. As the Federation ships positioned themselves above Earth, a signal was sent out, an invitation to meet with Earth's leaders. The Federation was anxious to finally learn why Earth had no defense grid. Why had they not invested in the kind of protection that every other planet had? What made Earth so sure of itself? Little did they know. The answer was simple. Earth didn't need a defense grid. They had something far more powerful, an offense that could destroy entire fleets in an instant. The Federation's fleet waited, their curiosity now bubbling into something more, uncertainty. They were about to meet a civilization that had thrown away the idea of defense, and they had no idea what to expect. But Earth's leaders knew exactly what they were doing. They had prepared for this day, and they were ready to show the Federation that when it came to survival, offense was their ultimate defense. A call to action. As the Federation fleet hovered in Earth's orbit, the planet below seemed eerily calm. There was no sign of resistance, no great military presence, nothing that suggested Earth was ready for an encounter with the galaxy's most powerful empire. To the Federation, this was both puzzling and unsettling. The planet appeared vulnerable, yet the rumors surrounding Earth's strength only grew stronger. In a well-secured command room deep beneath Earth's surface, military leaders and scientists gathered in anticipation of the meeting with the Federation. General Marcus Harlan, a seasoned military strategist, stood at the head of the table, studying the Federation fleet's movements through a holographic display. His stern expression gave little away, but those around him knew he was preparing for something big. The Federation's fleet was massive, but humanity's strength lay not in numbers, but in the unexpected, something that would leave the Federation questioning everything they thought they knew. "I don't like this," General Harlan muttered under his breath, eyes fixed on the hologram. "They're too calm. They must suspect something." Dr. Elena Costa, a leading scientist who had been working on Earth's offensive technology for years, crossed her arms and shook her head. "It doesn't matter what they suspect. What matters is that they don't understand the scale of our capabilities. They're walking into a trap they don't even know exists. The room fell silent for a moment, everyone acutely aware of the tension building outside. It wasn't just Earth's future at stake. This was the moment humanity would either prove itself or face the full might of the Federation. A mistake could mean destruction, but humanity had made its choice long ago, offense over defense. Now they would show the Federation exactly why that choice had made them strong. Dr. Costa turned to the others, her eyes steely. We've had years of preparation. The Federation has no idea what they're walking into. Earth's weaponry is ready, and we'll only use it if we're forced to. It's time to send them a message. Earth is no longer the weak, vulnerable planet they think it is. The Federation had made one key mistake. They assumed Earth's survival was simply a matter of luck. They hadn't bothered to understand the tenacity, the determination, and the sheer will of humanity. And now, Earth was about to make sure they never underestimated humans again. The call for a meeting between the Federation and Earth's leaders had been accepted. The representatives from the Federation, including Dr. Elara Thorne, were coming to Earth's capital to discuss the purpose of their visit. The humans knew the Federation would be expecting answers. They would want to know why Earth had no defense grid, why their planet hadn't invested in the usual defensive technologies. But what the Federation didn't expect was that Earth would be turning the tables. The Federation had come to learn, but they were about to be taught a lesson they would never forget. Ambassador Gorin paced back and forth, deep in thought. The weight of the decision was heavy, and there were no easy answers. To admit that Earth had a superior strategy was to admit the Federation had been wrong, and that was something the Council had never done in centuries. But this wasn't just about pride anymore. This was about survival. We can't fight them. Not in the traditional sense, Gorin finally said. We need to accept the reality. Earth has proven that they have the power to obliterate us if they so choose. Our best course of action is to offer them an alliance. We need to find common ground. Dr. Thorne nodded. An alliance would be beneficial for both of us. Earth's technology, combined with our resources and knowledge, could ensure peace. But we must approach this carefully. Earth is not a civilization that will bend to our will. If we want to coexist, we must respect their power and their philosophy. Counselor Zethos looked unconvinced, his face tight with reluctance. But what if they turn on us? What if they use this alliance to further their own agenda? It's a risk we have to take, Dr. Thorne replied, her voice unwavering. Because the alternative is far worse. If we don't make a move now, if we continue to challenge them, we will face destruction. We must offer Earth something of value. And so, the Federation Council came to its decision. An official message was sent to Earth, one that acknowledged Earth's strength, its right to defend itself, and the Federation's desire for peace and cooperation. It wasn't an easy decision, but it was the only one that made sense. The Federation could not afford to wage war against a planet that had proven itself so capable. They had to adjust to the new reality, one in which Earth was no longer just a vulnerable world on the outskirts of the galaxy, but a force to be reckoned with. The message was clear. We come in peace. We seek cooperation, not conflict. We acknowledge your strength and offer an alliance, one that respects the sovereignty of Earth and its right to protect itself. As the Federation awaited Earth's response, the room fell silent. They had taken the first step toward peace, but would Earth accept their offer? Would they be willing to work with the Federation, or would they see this as a sign of weakness? No one knew. Meanwhile, on Earth, General Harlan and Dr. Costa watched the message come in. They had expected the Federation to respond with fear or hostility, but instead, they received a formal request for peace and cooperation. It was a surprising gesture, one that showed that even the Federation understood that their old way of thinking was no longer viable. General Harlan turned to Dr. Costa, a smile tugging at the corner of his lips. It looks like they've learned something. Dr. Costa gave him a small, knowing smile. Maybe, but it's not over yet. We'll need to decide if this is truly an alliance that can benefit Earth. After all, Trust is a rare commodity in the galaxy. The story ended on a note of uncertainty, a new chapter waiting to unfold. Earth had made its statement. Offense is the only defense, and now the Federation was left to decide how they would proceed in a galaxy where Earth's power could no longer be ignored. But one thing was certain: the balance of power had shifted, and the galaxy would never be the same again.